That's such a good question. I want you to gut check me on this as someone who
Mm.
has also been a career changer. I believe that in education, being a teacher, being an educator, it's not just a job, it's an identity. And I know that goes for a lot of people. Like when you go out anywhere and you meet people and you ask, like, what do you do? Oh, hi, I'm Kevin. I'm a pharmacist. Not I do pharmaceutical work, or you might joke and say you're a drug dealer, right? Haha. Like that's such a fun icebreaker. But you say like I'm a pharmacist. And in many cases your identity is wrapped up in the amount of work and time that you've put into that. And I don't know what your story is and other pharmacists, right? But a pharmacist is something that's like highly technical, whereas being an educator, like an engineer, right? An engineer is super technical. If you get into, finance, that's super technical and super niche. I've never met any group of people that had their identity more wrapped up with their job than educators.
Welcome to Career Coaching Secrets, the podcast where we talk with successful career coaches on how they built their success and the hard lessons they learned along the way. My name is Davis Nguyen, and I'm the founder of Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, and even $100,000 weeks. Before Purple Circle, I've grown several 7- and 8-figure career coaching businesses myself, and have been a consultant at 2 career coaching businesses that are doing over $100 million each. Whether you're an established coach or building your practice for the first time, you'll discover the secrets to elevating your coaching business.
Welcome to Career Coaching Secrets Podcast. I'm Kevin, and today we are joined by Stephanie Yesil. She's the founder of Elevated Careers. Been professional development coach for over 10 years, career coaching for over 2 years. Welcome to the show, Stephanie.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Me too. Something I'm really curious about, because you're giving me your breakdown of how long you've been coaching. How did you become a coach, and what made you want to turn into a business? Like, you switched into career coaching.
Yeah, it's funny. I have so many mixed feelings about what career coaching is and what that means. It can be a real cottage industry, as I'm sure you know, Kevin. Like anybody can call themselves a career coach. And a lot of people who do incredible work are career coaches. And then there are some people who are, let's put it this way, they're working on building their coaching businesses. So there's a lot of people out there. So I never set out to become a career coach. This was something that organically developed over the course of my professional life. And it's kind of like the bat signal went up and I really embraced it. You go where you need it. I've always told my employers, I like being a utility player. I want to go where I'm needed because that's where you're going to learn the most. I'm going to say yes to projects that maybe I haven't done before, and let's see where it leads. And over the course of 10 years of being in the professional world, I said yes to enough that I started getting enough data where I was like, I know what I don't want to do. I know what I can do, and I know what I want to do. And so before this turns into a crazy long story, I'll give you the too long didn't read version of exactly how I arrived at career coaching, and then you can ask me about any other pieces if you want me to go in depth. But I was a Teach for America teacher. I spent almost 5 years in the classroom. I worked my way up through corporate ranks when I left teaching, and I became a corporate leader in many respects. I worked for startups, I worked for mid-sized companies, I worked for very large companies, and I was very much a career opportunist. And I moved to where I could get better work, more growth, more pay. And anytime I was customer facing or educator facing, I literally had people, I'm not joking, Kevin, every single time I was ever in the field, in schools and districts, in presentations and giving speeches, all the things, I had people waiting on the side, like secretly, how do I make these shifts? How do I move from my role in education right now and get into the corporate world? And it was always the same thing. I want to make a bigger impact. I've outgrown where I am. I love the work. I love the mission, but I want to do something else, something bigger. And I made so many materials for people. And it was a secret because everybody, in education and teaching, it's a calling. And people are like, but I can't tell anyone I want to leave until it's actually time to go. And so I was doing these things on the down low for so long. And I started realizing, you know what, there's a market for this. Good people who want to do good work shouldn't have to make these changes in the shadows. shadows. And one day I just woke up and had a conversation with my husband, and I said, something's really pulling me to turn this into full-time work. I'm literally talking to people enough for this to be a full-time job. I need to put it out there and help people be really unapologetic about wanting to change careers. And so Elevated Careers was born, and my niche is focusing on current and former educators wanting to sell their time to somebody else and still do great work. And so now I'm a career coach for educators.
Something I highlighted on my iPad, right? You can't read it because I have really bad writing. Was what do you feel like was missing from your previous career, if anything?
Autonomy to create things that I could see people using right away. And I respect the game. Like, I totally respect the corporate setup where you have to hire people to do a certain job. Like, sometimes you need thinkers and sometimes you need doers, right? Like, sometimes you just need people who really love doing the job that you put in front of them, and you don't really need them to be a strategist or a creative or a thinker. And I found myself moving into roles that required a lot of doing, that required a lot of really detail-oriented work. And I knew that some people were benefiting from what I was doing, but I felt like I was really boxed in still, because I kept, even in corporate leadership roles, you had to toe this line, right? Like, you had to hold the line for what other people wanted you to build. And it got to the point in many of my roles where I was helping other people build things that were gonna, quote unquote, change the world in the way that they wanted and needed. And that was awesome. And I'm so grateful to have worked on those teams, but I kept outgrowing what they needed me to do. I kept going, oh, I have this great idea. Can we try this thing? You know, let's do it a little bit this way. And sometimes I was able to test out some ideas, but it was always a really slow moving ship, because working with companies, you know, like I said, realizing someone else's vision is great for getting hands-on experiences in the pieces that make whatever you're trying to scale, to make it able to scale. I got that insight, but I never quite felt like I could pivot from today to tomorrow. Like, if something needed to change right now, in this job that I have right now, I don't need to ask for permission to do it. I don't have to get signatures on things. If there's a market need, I make it and I put it out, and then I work on perfecting it. So you know how so many companies, Kevin, are like, you need to be able to work in a fast-paced environment. Those have nothing on being an entrepreneur for yourself. This is the fast pace that I wanted. This is the autonomy that I've needed.
Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah, I was so curious what made you like leave that career and all that. Now, I want to get into your coaching business. You said that you help educators, right? How do they typically find you? What kind of problems are they like presenting to you? Kind of curious.
LinkedIn is my main driver of acknowledgement that my kind of service exists. So they find me there, and I've been really strategic because this is professional. This is very important to me, that it is being located in the right channels. Like, I don't want to just be viral. I want to be really tactful, and I want to be really purposeful in anything that I put out. So I really focus my energy on making good materials and putting them on just a few channels. Right? LinkedIn. I'm going to start adding to my others, you know, Instagram, Pinterest, and all that, but LinkedIn. And the problems that they come to me with are depending on where they are in their career and what their current role is. So if you're a brand new teacher who just got in last year and you think, oh my gosh, I made a mistake. I should not have become a teacher. I got my degree in education. Who in the heck else is going to hire me? What else can I do? So it's a lot of the what else is there out there is one of the main problems, is like, I don't know what else exists. Second, they are overwhelmed with having to learn an entirely new element of professional life. And corporate and education in many ways are very similar, but in the getting noticed by hiring managers and recruiters, it's quite different. The way that you have to present yourself, it's very different than how you would in education. But it's a lot of fear, really, Kevin. It's a lot of fear. Am I good enough for this job? Do I have the transferable skills? Is anybody going to take me seriously? And that's pretty much for classroom teachers. And then when you get get up to more of the district leadership level, administrators at the school level and district administrators, superintendents, assistant superintendents, and instructional leaders. A lot of them have misconceptions about networking and the types of roles that they believe they're qualified for, that they should get into, but they're starting to apply for everything that exists that might fit. And so it's confusion and it's overwhelm and fear. Like those are really the biggest problems that educators come to me with. And those are a lot easier to solve than you realize when you just have somebody to just cut through it all. Be like, you don't need this, this, or this. Start on this. Here's a quick path. This will give you a lot of traction. And that's what I love doing for folks, is just cutting through the fear and saying, look, been there, done that. And here are a lot of client stories that demonstrate these simple steps work.
As you're speaking and you're going over the symptoms, right? I was like, oh man, a lot of pharmacists go through this too. Like,
Really?
oh my God, I spent like 7 years in this, like 7, 8 years studying for this doctorate degree. Now I'm in CVS counting pills and getting yelled at by everyone, and the phones won't stop ringing. What else is out there?
Yep.
They might feel overwhelmed. They have this fear of like, am I good enough to transition and whatnot? But my question to you is like, okay, maybe this is a shared experience between a lot of different people, but what do you feel like what are some unique challenges that educators kind of go through that maybe some other like career paths might not experience?
That's such a good question. I want you to gut check me on this as someone who has also been a career changer. I believe that in education, being a teacher, being an educator, it's not just a job, it's an identity. And I know that goes for a lot of people. Like when you go out anywhere and you meet people and you ask, like, what do you do? Oh, hi, I'm Kevin. I'm a pharmacist. Not I do pharmaceutical work. Or you might joke and say you're a drug dealer, right? Haha. Like that's such a fun icebreaker. But you say like, I'm a pharmacist. And in many cases, your identity is wrapped up in the amount of work and time that you've put into that. And I don't know what your story is and other pharmacists, right? But a pharmacist is something that's like highly technical, whereas being an educator, like an engineer, right? An engineer is super technical. If you get into, finance, that's super technical and super niche. I've never met any group of people that had their identity more wrapped up with their job than educators. I don't know how hard it was for you to decide to make a career change from being a pharmacist, but you're like, I want something different. I gotta go. I have a feeling you were like, nah, this isn't for me. I gotta roll. I gotta do something else. Whereas educators, a unique challenge is the guilt. That they feel leaving. They don't just feel like, oh, I'm doing this for myself. The decision to change a career feels like a betrayal for educators. Like they're betraying their students. They're betraying their calling. They're betraying their mission. And I've never met anybody who felt like that was that much of a betrayal. I was just saying, like, I don't know of anybody who's like, I feel like I'm betraying my engineering team. I'm really betraying them. I'm really betraying my construction crew. I don't know anybody in any other industry who feels like leaving is a betrayal to students, to your mission, to your passion, to yourself. And that's a big part of the work that we do, is that I help folks understand that, like, I frame it in terms of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, right? For those, the quick and dirty, for those who don't know what that is the UN works hard to solve big problems around the world that help people lead healthier, more enriched lives. There are 17 sustainable development goals around the world of really important things that we need to keep an eye on to keep the human race healthy. Education is number 3 on that list. And so I help people see that you're not betraying anybody but yourself by staying somewhere you're no longer happy or healthy or fulfilled. And I shine a light on the other 16 causes that you can work on. And that really helps them feel like, you know what, maybe I can sell my time somewhere else and not feel like I'm betraying everything about who I am and what I stand for.
As you're speaking, it reminds me of this book called The Second Mountain, right? And how like the first mountain is like our first career. Sometimes ego driven, sometimes like, it's our first purpose in life, right? But what's really hard sometimes is we don't realize there's a second mountain, another purpose. Our
Ooh.
purpose changes over
I'm
time.
ordering that right now. Keep going. I'm
Yeah.
listening.
Yeah, no, but what I was saying was like, it sounds like you're helping people kind of lean into that second mountain and let go of that previous identity, you know?
That's
Yeah.
brilliant. How was it
Oh,
with you with the second mountain, finding and climbing your second
ooh.
mountain?
I think the way that you summed it up was like perfect. Identity, right? No one says I practice pharmacy, right? I am a pharmacist.
Yep.
And then when that decide that's not who you are anymore, right? And
Mhm.
you're peeling back the layers of the onion. So it almost felt like a identity death, right? Like a whole new death, a whole new life, you know?
Interesting.
And I mean, I didn't feel the necessarily guilt to I did initially feel guilt to my patients who like really liked me and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But then I was like, I think what you're saying about like that betrayal to yourself. And yeah, that's like when you realize that, you know, this isn't serving you and hey, this role could be serving someone else that really loves
Yeah.
it, you know, that,
Yeah. Get out of the way. Let someone else who
yeah.
really wants to be there be there.
So accepting that death was like really, really tough. By the way, the book kind of repetitive. You probably get the picture after the first like chapter or so, but
Okay.
it's a pretty good read. It's a pretty good read.
Good to know. Okay. I'll audiobook it
Yeah,
then and I'll listen to it while I'm out, like walking the dog or something.
exactly.
Good rec.
Now I want to ask you this stuff, like because okay, you're posting on social media, you're probably highlighting these problems. People are probably like, oh my God, Steph understands me, she gets me, right? And so
That's
they're probably
that's
wanting
the
like
hope.
to use some type of like, yeah, that's ideal customer
Yeah.
journey, right?
Yeah.
And so when someone does raise their hand and they're like, hey, I want to do coaching with you, what does a coaching engagement look like? Is it mostly one-on-one? Is it group coaching? Like, what are your different modalities?
Right now, it's only one-on-one. I keep things really simple to make them really accessible. I only do one-on-one coaching. That might change in the future. I might do more group coaching. I might explore. But for me, what works for me, the intersection of what works for me and my schedule and the people I want to serve and the confidentiality in which they want to proceed. One-on-one, I have found works best. And I don't want people to feel pressured to start some crazy long-term relationship, professional relationship with me. I appreciate showing up. If you need one session, one-hour session, and we can solve what you need to have solved in that session, and you have enough that you can go forward and be happy and successful, cool. I am not going to try and pressure you to buy a 10 coaching package, special event. Come back to me every single week. If that's not what you need, that's not what you need. If you need 10 sessions, let's do it. If you need one session, let's do it. So my model really is if you need to talk to somebody who gets it, who can very quickly hear what you're saying and diagnose where you are in the career change process and recommend solid next steps, and attach the resources, tools, people, whatever you need to be successful in those next steps. Like, I'm your person. So it's really people sign up for one session at a time as needed. And then the other way that I do it is I have a course that literally has everything I use in coaching. It's self-serve. It's 6 modules. And if you want anonymity and help at the same time, jump into my course because it's all for you. Go at your own pace. But I'm constantly adding to it. So it's always up to date. But yeah, my coaching model is very, very simple. Come to me with what you need when you need it. And I'm your person.
Sounds like you're a lot of people's like trusted advisor, right? Meaning like they can go to you and they can trust that you'll recommend what you think is best, right?
That's right.
It also sounds like the work you do is pretty intimate. So how do you manage your current client capacity? Do you have like caps of how many clients you take, or like how do you think about it, I guess?
I make sure that I set very strict work times versus call times into my calendar so that I can be very present and get everything done that I need to get done. As a content creator and someone who takes calls all the time, you need to protect your time beautifully. I pride myself on doing that. And so I do not have a cap on client load because I don't do the 10-week group coaching model. I don't lock people in to specific days at specific times. I open my calendar during my call times, and it's kind of like a doctor's appointment When you need something, you make a doctor's appointment. You don't have to go every other week. You go when you need it. And you go online and you look at the times that are available. You book your slot and then you show up and we chat. And as long as I have time available, that time is up for grabs for whoever might need it. So I'm very different in that, I don't do these lengthy qualification rounds. I don't just say, oh, well, you're not my ideal client. I'm not going to work with you. I don't do anything like that. It's, if you need something, grab a spot on my calendar, and I'm very transparent about when I'm available. Very fortunate. I book up for months at a time, Kevin.
Wow.
I'm busy. I'm a busy gal. So it's a good problem to have. I wish I had more time in the day so that I could have more people come to me and I could chat with more people all the time. But I'm looking to scale. I'm actually looking to eventually, I think 2026 is going to be the year where I start building out a coaching team of successfully transitioned educators who can coach using my model and my tools that I've perfected and that I continue to perfect over the last couple of years. I hope that answered your question. I get a little rambly sometimes, so you're going to have to keep those guardrails around me, Kevin.
No, you're good.
Okay.
Actually, in my mind, I was like, is this ever going to change? And you just like led into it. So you're speaking what I was thinking, actually, in my mind.
It will. It's going to change as the bat signal keeps going up, as more and more needs make themselves known. I'm going to continue to adapt so that I can support as many people as possible, but still maintain that intimacy.
Speaking about looking at scale in like 2026 next year, something I'm curious about are your future goals. And so I guess, where do you want this coaching business to take you in the next few years, right? You mentioned that you have desires to maybe hire a coaching team, but do you have any big secret dreams that no one knows about?
Big secret dreams. Yeah, I do. But I never want to jump right to the outcome. I don't want to live in the outcome. I love to live in the process because I find that so much of my business organically develops based on market needs, market trends. But all else equal, let's say we stay on the exact same trajectory, like business trends stay similar, seasonality stays similar. I would love, Kevin, to become the person with huge name brand partnerships to be a conduit, to be a pipeline for educators who want to continue to be people facing, who want to highlight their empathy, who want to be leaders in the world. I want to have these humongous ongoing partnerships where I'm helping highlight great roles in the world that might be non-traditional for educators who really want to shake things up, who want to get into the corporate world. And I'm not just talking ed tech. I'm talking airlines, flight attendants, operations people. I'm talking really great financial institutions who want to train the next generation of wealth managers. I'm talking partnerships to help shepherd people to becoming, climate advocates around the world. I want to be the person who re-envisions what the future of learning looks like and kind of helping educators disperse into the world so that they can continue to make an impact with people, make a really good name for education, but also be the innovators that help bring the real world, like whatever they end up moving to, help bring the real world into the purview of students. So like, for instance, let's just say you're an educator. The way kids are learning today, and I mean kids from kindergarten through higher ed, right? Traditional classroom settings are not really preparing people for the real world of AI. You want to talk fast-paced, you want to talk consumerism, you want to talk about the world of creation, like what it looks like to be a valued contributor to the world. Like, it doesn't look anything like when you and I were in school. And so traditional education systems are not setting kids up for success in the world that they're going to live in. Like, we're doing our best, don't get me wrong. I'm not suggesting that anybody in traditional systems are being negligent on purpose, but it's just like, it's a huge thing and it's hard to steer. And so I envision being the pipeline, having these brand partnerships, like supporting really great companies in finding really great talent, professional talent, I eventually want to create this community where, like, no matter what industry educators go to, in some way they're still like, they might become, like I said, they might become an operations associate for an airline, or they might become a wealth manager for a financial institution. But I want them to still somehow contribute to bringing real world learning back into the education system. Like, so still advocating for what their path looked like and great ways that their students can continue to learn. Maybe they work as consultants for ed tech companies on the side, kind of like reporting back almost. It's like going on a sabbatical and reporting back so that the world is keeping up with what people actually need to learn, but allowing educators to go live lives that allow them to be healthy and happy too.
You know, it sounds like, no, this YouTuber, his name is Dan Martell. Probably not as like emotionally heavy as this one. Reminds me of how Dan Martell, he got arrested when he was like 16 years old, and now he has a portfolio company and stuff, and he goes to these like prisons with like the youth and just like inspires them with their stories and reports back on what the real world and what to focus on and study and all that. Sounds like a very similar like vision that you have of like opening doors and sharing their experiences.
What it's got to be all about. That's the world I want to live in, right? Like people helping people. Dan Martell, you said. That name sounds so familiar.
Buy Back Your Time. His name is Buy Back Your Time. He has a book and all that. It's pretty good stuff. Yeah.
Oh, I know him. I recognize him. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Thank you. So many good recommendations I'm getting from you. I feel like I need to give you my book list too.
Chances are I probably have every single book. I have most people's books on most book lists, actually.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And you find time to read them, which is to me a superpower in and of itself.
Yeah, I made time because like you were talking about like people being empaths and stuff. I do feel like it's kind of a skill. And the more you read, people say you become smarter, but the more I kind of empathize with a lot of different perspectives and views. Yeah. Maybe I don't agree with everything, but when you're reading a book, you're sitting there through hundreds of pages, seeing the world how other people see it, right? Yeah. Through their lens, through their experiences. Mm-hmm. That's why, in my opinion, reading is so important, you know? Not necessarily for the knowledge transfer, sometimes for that. Sure. But it's more like, to understand how certain people think, you know? Yeah. And I think that's the beauty of it.
You know what I love most about sitting there with a book? And let me ask, before I give you my answer, are you an e-reader kind of person, or do you prefer a hard copy?
My personal preference is hard copy. But since I'm in Asia and I'm reading, I've been really liking digital books and just like taking notes. I use this app called Readwise where I can upload it into my Notion, my Second Brain, and stuff like that. I'm a productivity nerd, by the way.
Yeah. But awesome.
Yeah. How about yourself?
Hard copy.
Yeah.
And I write in the margins. I'm the same way. Oh. And I write in the margins. I take notes. I highlight. I mangle my books. I have to. Who else is going to read them? But to your point, I write notes because I go like, oh, I need to write a post on this. Oh man, this is such a great point. I've been trying to find the right words to say this. Or I want to dive deeper and ask my husband about this. Or I need to talk to this, about my, I need to share this with my sister. And I find that the Post-it note method and the highlight method, the dog ear method, I have so many books I've dog-eared, and I just put them away because I'm on to the next book and I don't revisit them. So I think it's brilliant that you're uploading them. What's it called? What's the note taker? Because if I can upload it into Notion, then I have AI help me organize and keep things prioritized. Yep. What's it called?
It's called Readwise Reader. I actually did a whole product review on it. I'll send it to you later.
Please
but
do.
It's like one of the best apps. Yeah.
I would love that. I need that for sure.
They offer a student discount, by the way. So just letting you know that.
Ooh la la. So, okay, very cool. And actually, that could be great for my audience too, because they're learning, they're studying, they need to keep these notes and they need to stay organized. So this is something I could probably highlight too. That would be awesome. Thank you. Okay, didn't mean to derail us, my friend.
No worries. Something I'm also very curious. So you kind of told me about the future of where you want to take this coaching business. Mm-hmm. What I'm also something we also talk about on this podcast are the fun times and the not so fun times. And so what are some of the challenges you're noticing in your coaching business right now? Anything unexpected?
Seasonality. I wouldn't call it a problem as much as like a predictable feast and famine. Once upon a time, I have multiple revenue streams now, but once upon a time when I started and it was just coaching, It was feast or famine. It was the times when there are breaks, when your schedule is really, really loaded, and then the middle of the school year, in the doldrums, you don't really get a lot because people are just busy doing full-time work. So yeah, seasonality, like I said, not really a problem, but definitely a challenge. And to be honest, the things that were problems before, I've built a tech stack around so that I could automate a lot, which has alleviated the challenges of, outreach, or not like outreach to people who have reached out to me first, making sure that I have great landing pages to send to people instead of re-explaining myself via message or a 15-minute call over and over and over again. So really they're not problems, they're challenges. And I'm really fortunate to say, like, I've found tools to turn these challenges into solutions. But I want to be really real with you. Let me think, what's a problem with coaching?
Bottleneck, challenge, not
Yeah.
necessarily a problem, but yeah, something that's like top of mind for you.
I mean, really, it's lack of time because of my model, because of my one-on-one model, because I don't do group coaching yet. If I do, maybe I will someday, maybe I won't. But because I don't do group coaching, my bottleneck is my scalability, because there's only one of me to go around. Like, there's only so much time during the day that I can devote to calls and sessions, because I don't just stop at my session. After the session is over, I synthesize everything and I create step-by-step action plans and checklists that are unique to every single person I talk to. I believe in white glove through and through. And doing that reduces my capacity for purely growing the coaching side of things, but that's intentional right now. So I would say it's a bottleneck, but not a problem. And that's something like scalability, like I said, that I'm working out what 2026 is going to look like. I'm going to really hit those questions harder in Q1 and Q2 of 2026. And I think a lot of your coaches will relate to what I'm about to say. So like, that's the professional side. The personal side, if you don't have, I've learned this, if you don't have the ability to limit how deep your empathy goes, you run the risk of wearing your client's fear. You run the risk of letting it get to you. And that's kind of a scary place if you don't have confidence in what you're providing. Like, if you're not really confident in what you're selling, you're going to start to get worried. And I think this goes for all coaches. Like, if you're out to just make a buck and you're like, well, I'm just going to make something and, I'm going to sell it and I'll figure it out later. Like, when you actually take calls with people and you hear how scared they are or how overwhelmed they are or how they feel defeated or dejected or they keep getting rejections. Like, if you are not very careful and if you're not about the solution for your people and you're all about only your product and selling, you're going to get swamped. And it's going to hurt your heart. And the other side of that too is, even if you really are confident in what you have, if you let the stories get to you too much and you feel bad and you're like, wow, I'm going to do everything for this person, you also run the risk of focusing too much on one thing rather than seeing a big picture and scaling. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, there's a middle ground that you have to balance on carefully to be an empath and to be helpful and to go above and beyond, but don't let that take away from the way that you're trying to reach your other 60, 70, 80, 90,000 people who are following you on these other channels. That's the personal side, is just staying balanced and compartmentalizing in a way that enables you to still help, but protect your time and your thinking and creativity as well.
How do you stay grounded, I guess?
I have had to build systems. It wasn't always like that. And I'm only speaking because I have real life experience in letting things kind of weigh too heavily. I stay grounded in my routines, in my calendar, in my boundaries around my start time and my stop time during the day. Once upon a time, I was a workaholic and I would work 20 hours a day because I remember thinking, like, the hustle is life, getting things done is life, getting to, helping as many people as possible is life. Like, this is my calling. This is what I need to do. And that's great. And I started really burning out. Like, I was flaming out big time. I was tired and I was getting grumpy and I kept hearing the same challenges over and over again. And I was like, okay, I need to work out. I need to eat better. I need to sleep. I need to show up for my family. And then I became a mom. I had my first baby and everything changed. everything. And I was like, I can maintain this. I'm going to be up doing things anyway. Oh, was I wrong? No, you shouldn't try to maintain what was, because what is now, like, I want to show up and be an entrepreneur. I want to be a wife. I want to be a mom. I want to be a sister. I want to be a daughter. I want to be a friend. I want to be a professional. Like, I want to be all these things. And if I didn't get grounded in really clear routines and boundaries, it wouldn't have been sustainable. And so same thing. I have all my custom GPTs. I have my automations. I have very clear boundaries in my time on my calendars. I make sure that I have very clear stop times at the end of the day. I make sure I let people know honestly how much time they're going to have to wait so that I can give what they need the attention they deserve. And it might be one day, it might be 3 days. I don't know. Like, I'm just very clear and transparent about what I'm able to give now, rather than telling everybody like, yeah, I can do everything all the time. That's just not sustainable.
Thanks for sharing that. I do think that is pretty important. I want to switch topics for a second. I want to actually play a game if you're open to it. It's one of my favorite storytelling games. A lot of coaches, right, or entrepreneurs, we invest to things like training, marketing, tools, tech stacks, team members, masterminds. There's an infinite amount of things that you can invest in.
Oh, yeah.
And so I want you to pretend like I'm the psychologist and you're on the chair just like twirling your thick fingers. And
I could take a relaxing moment. Sure, let's do it.
So I'll prompt you a phrase and you tell me the first thing that comes to mind. If there's a story behind it, feel free to share.
Okay.
Okay.
Hit me with it.
All right. First business investment you ever remember making?
Domain name for my website. That was a hard decision. That's the anchor to everything that you're going to build. You don't want to get that wrong. So I put so much pressure on myself. And then I was having coffee, and I know I keep talking about him, but my gorgeous, brilliant husband, he is the ultimate business thought partner. And I was like, has to have ED in it. That trite thing that everybody does. It has to have the word ed in it because I'm the first person ever to think of this. That not true. But I was like, and I was joking with him. I think I was watching a movie. I love old movies, Kevin. And I was watching, I think, Auntie Mame, 1950s. Singing in the Rain's my favorite. Brigadoon, I'll watch. Like, anything with Gene Kelly in it is my favorite. Anyway, and I remember joking with him, saying they have such elevated style. And he says, well, they have such elevated ways of comporting themselves. And he said, elevated? What about elevated? You're elevating people. You live an elevated life. How about elevated careers? And I said, you brilliant son of a bitch. Absolutely. And I went and bought my domain name, elevated.careers.
Beautiful. Okay. Last business investment you made?
A teleprompter.
Oh.
Because I want to get into more video creation. I feel like I'm confident enough with my written work now that I want to have these beautiful, polished, look you in the eye, professional conversations and video snippets. So that and Opus Clip. So the two of those together, so good. I'm loving it.
Let me guess, Elgato?
Yes.
Teleprompter with the foot pedal or no foot pedal?
No foot pedal. I don't need foot pedal quite yet. That's it. It's organic growth. I feel good with what I have, but once I need the foot pedal, you better believe it's on its way. A little streamer box so I can switch seamlessly between screens, but I'll get there.
Best business investment you made?
Starting a business. Just freaking going for it full time. Not 1 foot here and 1 foot there, but I'm working with a very privileged hand I've been dealt, and I recognize that. But the best one for me was just hold your breath and jump. Go.
Last question. Worst business investment you kind of wish you got your money back from?
Worst business investment. I'm not going to name the names of the company because I don't want to name and shame because they're building, but there have been some really cool looking AI tools that made big promises and under-delivered in ideation. So yeah, I've invested not a lot of money, but enough to test things out to be like, is this the next big thing? I had fear of missing out. Is this the next big cool thing that's going to help me scale even faster? Like make more of me to be able to do all of these tasks. And no, it fell flat. And so I canceled my subscription right away. Yeah, but it's okay. They're working on it. Just I'll come back in about a year and see how they keep building. But yeah, a little bit of the AI hype I bought into, and I'm like, nah, no, few of these, not yet.
There's a lot.
Yeah, and buyer beware, but sometimes too, you just have to test it out because maybe it is. Because I've also bought a couple of things that have been absolutely amazing.
Last section. I call this section overrated, underrated because as a business owner, you've probably gotten a lot of advice. Some of it
Let's
good, some of
go.
it bad.
Okay.
Some of it solicited, probably a lot of it unsolicited. So what's the most overrated piece of business advice you've gotten so far, and what's the most underrated?
Overrated, underrated. So the most overrated is to make your models like your coaching model like everybody else's. You have to start doing you have to do group coaching. You need to start offering packages. You need, it's so much better for income. The more people you can get on board at once, the better. And that's overrated for me personally because it doesn't fit with my current business model. It's not the right move. Just because it works for other people doesn't mean it's going to work for me in this moment. Because there's something else I feel like I need to be working on and chasing and doing what everybody else is doing for the sake of like just paying attention to their success stories. Those are their success stories. Underrated, it's at limiting the number of times you pick up the phone when people call you for a quick question. Underrated is stop picking up the phone all the time. So many people think they just need to be on. The coolest, most underrated advice was spend a couple of days not taking any calls on purpose and see what it does. Purposely block off your calendar for a couple of days and see how it feels. So, in the creators world, we always think you have to be on, you have to be talking. Underrated advice for a talker, stop talking. Get to work. So good. Those are the moments when I build the coolest things that I'm most proud of.
Like what?
There are so many tools, like lead magnets, that kind of hurt to give them away for free because they're so good. I'm like, I really should put this in my course, but I want everybody to have it. So, resources that I find that people really eat up that just need more of, guides, how-to guides. I added an entire section in my course based on ideas that I had while I was on a walk because I just was not talking to anybody that day. I've built custom GPTs for clients. Custom, just for them, and shared it with them. This is when the best stuff gets built, when my mouth is quiet and my brain is most active.
Last question for you. How did people find you and connect with you?
LinkedIn is always the best place to start. And I would assume you'll have the link below, or whatever people do, right? The link here or there. Find me on LinkedIn, Stephanie Yesil. It's a pretty unique name. And my website, www.elevated.careers. That's where all the best stuff lives.
My takeaways from this podcast, by the way, Steph, how much you kind of care about the people you're coaching.
You're damn right. They're my favorite.
Something I don't take, I'm not sure if the term is like take it lightly, but you realize it's a certain privilege to be able to coach people through these like very uncertain times, especially with career coaching. And so, as you were speaking about the problems, a lot of thought went into like understanding your target avatar, your ideal clients, and all that as well. And you balance this caring with the desire to scale, the desire to hire more coaches in the future. And so it's my long-winded way of just saying stuff is that thank you for the work that you do. Thank you for coming onto a podcast and just sharing how your business works. And I just want to say I appreciate you and all the work that you do as well. So thank you, Steph.
And I appreciate you. Thank you, and to Purple Circle Coaching for helping amplify great work and helping support coaches, because this really is the work of people helping people. And that's, again, what it's all about. So Kevin, it's been such a pleasure chatting with you.
Amen. Thank you.
That's it for this episode of Career Coaching Secrets. If you enjoyed this conversation, you can subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening to this episode to catch future episodes. This podcast was brought to you by Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, or even $100,000 weeks, all without burning out and making sure that you're making the impact and having the life that you want. To learn more about our community and how we can help you, visit joinpurplecircle.com.